I'm reasonably certain it's time to go. It's 1:00. Hi, Rodney.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm good. What do you know? It's like trying to rain or something today. What's going on?
I don't know. Just standard. It's our standard crazy weather. We don't know what's happening. Just blessed to be here.
Absolutely. Do we have any I wonder if we've got any of those crazy numbers that you want to talk about.
Do I have them?
Yeah, screen share.
Oh, yes. Let's
Look at
see
us.
here.
What Rodney and I are going to do while he's pulling that up, remember to tick your little box there. We are going to be talking about several different things today. We've designed a different show today, and it's going to be the property types across the country that are actually losing value, because isn't that what everybody's screaming about? When are prices going down? This isn't necessarily connected with that, but it is on topic. And then we're going to talk about the prices of new homes versus existing homes. That's an interesting topic, and we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about, I know that we touched on this last week, was affordability and density, how people are coming up with these new bills and new approaches to city life and stuff. But I've got a local article, and I may try to play the video. I don't know. I'll ask Rodney on that. He's the director. I'm the producer. But it's the Nashville version of density, because that, that's interesting. What are you going to do with that? And finally, we've got a counterpoint to a couple of attitudes about home buyers these days. So next we are going to go to, I have to ask, did you golf? I ask this every Tuesday. Did you golf?
Yeah, it was a good weekend. It was a little cold Saturday, like just in the mid 40s, but I probably wouldn't have played, but since I hadn't played all winter long, you go out there and you have to get a little exercise. So yeah,
How
me
does
and my
that
son
handy?
went out and played, had a good time.
Oh yeah. And so how does that go? You're a low handicapper? Is that the way that goes?
Something like that. Yeah. It just means that I have less fun than anybody else. That's all it means.
I have a personal friend that's gone golfing with Rodney and says Rodney takes no prisoners. So anyway,
we have a good time. That's my main.
I love that.
Yeah.
With Pip. Okay.
All right.
Bing.
Here we go. The rates, let's look at them. This is a 6-month view again, and it's kind of looks an awful lot like the last 3 to 4 weeks. Look at right here.
Look at that. Look at that.
We are this is the holding steady, if holding steady ever was. It's kind of like yesterday they issued a lock alert at 1:05 p.m. Eastern for us to get our pipelines in order. Today's almost virtually no change in the market, which is rarely you see this little bit of a change. It's 4 basis points better. But to give him perspective, if you look back here in October of 26-23, we've seen a massive, 300 plus basis points improvement, and then it's fell off about almost a full 100 basis points right here. But holding steady, trying to hopefully get some numbers to get this back up, and that's what we're hoping for.
And for anybody if anybody's looking in after the fact, remember that this graph is upside down. Normally you would see that down and go, oh, that's really good. It's not.
Yes, when the rates are going up like this, green is good, red is bad.
Got it.
So
and I'm seeing, and I am not a lender, don't pretend to be, but I'm seeing an awful lot of lock alerts there.
Yeah, the last since what is that date right there? We've had let's see here. I can't scroll down the bottom here. I guess this was right at January 16th. Since January 16th through yesterday, you can see here there's been 6 alert to locks.
Jeez,
which we went from January 16th, November, we went 60 days right here while it was improving with no locking. So right here, we're seeing a lock trend again.
but you see that leveling off. And so if I were to ask you, if I were to give you the choice, I'm going to give you some choices here. If we were in terms of rates, we're looking. Which would you say best represents what we're going through?
Well, I'll take that smooth landing. It is what it is. Look back. Like I said, we're still 300, probably 300 basis points better than where we were, in October. So
yeah,
much better.
Yeah, and I'm seeing. Yeah, well, that's what it's. I'll take stable. I mean, that's what my mantra is. We're looking at duration, stability, and things are going to start to drop. And there's so much discussion because we're getting close to. I know that I was updated on something when Jay, Mr. Powell, has some comments here next month. People are looking for changes. That would be Jay, not Jerry. Somebody help me understand that better. But we're looking for possible changes. So enough of the rates. They are what they are. Here, let's talk about a couple of things. And I thought this was pretty interesting. There's 5 types of homes that's going to plummet in value. Plummet's a pretty strong word, I think. That's going to plummet in value in 2024. And if, let me just read a little bit of this. As the real estate market constantly evolves, certain types of homes are more likely to decrease in value in 2024. This trend can be influenced by various factors such as economic conditions, shift in buyers' preferences, and changes in environmental policy. You're going to hear climate change somewhere around here on this kind of stuff. Don't ask me about that. Here's the 5 types of homes that are likely to see a decline in the market value in the coming year. I think what struck me as interesting on this is because they're going down in value doesn't make them a good deal. That's what caught my attention. For example, homes in climate vulnerable areas, like, what was that, Fort Myers? Where was that hurricane?
Florida
Island. Yeah. All of it. I mean, I've been reading articles. I love Florida. I'd live there if I could, but I don't. But I hear so much about Florida, and they're losing the beach properties, which is where you'd want to be, right? They're the ones that are having difficulties. And a big part of that is right here. I'm going to show you this. Is because of the insurance costs are scaring buyers off. I had a conversation with my insurance company the other day, and she said that that company, and I think it was State Farm, actually left the state of Florida. I could be wrong, but she said there's a number of them that are leaving.
Yeah, I think I think they're having to have some government subsidized insurance or some stuff down there. It's pretty wild. And they had that big huge house somewhere, somewhere in California that the guy was putting up something to try to save his house. I mean, it was landslide. Yes, there you go. Well, no, I don't know if that was it. He put up the tarps. Is that the one to put up the tarps?
I think it is. I mean, that's a pretty iconic picture from just like a few days ago.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
And I read the article, and I actually have it pulled up here. Is the guy? It's a $16 million house. It's a doctor, and he ain't leaving.
Well, he better not stay on the back side of his house, or he'll be leaving. He'll be evicted.
He's going to be ejected. I mean, I couldn't.
Yeah.
Man, oh man. But I mean, that would be a dream, and wrapped in a nightmare that you're living. I'm sure the view on that is, I don't even want to talk about it. And then to have big chunks of the. Oh man.
I don't know what I would do. That would definitely be, that house looks crazy amazing. So yeah.
Oh man, and they're talking about, where was this picture? The you've seen those the pictures in Florida where those high-rise condos, and there's a bunch of them that are just empty. And I guess that's part of that part of the reason. I don't know what they are specifically, and it's not time to panic or anything, but that's one of the types of homes that are losing value. Where was that? Wait, I think I got it. Oh yeah. Yeah, here they hang on. Bing, I got it. I was more prepared than I expected. Bing. There they are. As those are the high rises that are just, a lot of them are empty, you know, because of insurance costs. That'd be a heartbreaker. That'd be tough. Next one is going to be. Go. Hit me.
Well, the outdated single family homes that haven't been renovated. But I was kind of thinking that I was surprised to see this one on the list, and the only reason is since a DIY network, like half the people on the face of the planet look for number 2. You know what I'm saying? Now, I did see it says sell at premium prices. Correct. Outdated homes don't sell at premium prices, but they never Correct. Have. So, not too much of a, like the first 2, are pretty easy predictable, I guess. If you somebody's trying to predict like your house going down, which ones would do that. So right. 1 and 2 are pretty simple.
Yeah. And I think that probably what they're talking about is what we're still plagued with, because I've got listings coming and it's just so normal. If I was selling my house, in my head, I see very, now as a professional, I probably would, but it's easy to imagine if you're trying to sell your house, the top of the range. I mean, that you can see it just selling for the most that the market will bear. And sometimes that's just not the case, especially if it's outdated with older kitchens and older appliances where only one of the eyes work or whatever,
Yeah.
But I think that the other point to that argument is going to be, let's think about home buyers these days and hey, Philip, how are you? How you doing? You snuck in on me, man. I wasn't looking. Hi, Ange. Hi, Johnny. I don't want to say hi to everybody. So glad to see you. Our insurance here. We're going to pop in the insurance before we move on. Hang on. Bing. Tripled. It tripled. No kidding. Oh boy. Hopefully it's not a hill like that.
Yeah. Those tarps won't help, Angie. You're right. It's it sure make me feel better though. I can't feel like when you put your head in the sand, you can't see the ground eroding under you. At least it's at least you feel better about it.
I would. But when we're talking about the outdated homes, or needing updated, in terms of the buyers, I think that we have to take into account that when somebody's buying a home these days, if it's their first time home buyer, it's going to be probably maybe a little bit of a stretch. Not for everybody, but for a lot of the buyers, it can be a stretch just to get into the house. And if there's a lot of repairs to be done, that may not be something that they can afford, and they'd have to basically borrow against that. Buy a move-in ready home is what I'm saying, as opposed to having money in cash in pocket, because sometimes they just don't have that, I mean.
Right. No, totally.
Yeah. Just talked to a realtor over the weekend, and she said she has a list of cash buyers and not to put too much money into the house before.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. That is exactly right. However, make it look, I would add this, not to step on anybody's toes, for whatever you're going to do with your house, make it look the best that it can look, period. Make it look the best that it can. That'll help you. Luxury urban condos. Now these, and I tried to look up our numbers, downtown Nashville, which 10 years ago, were there high rise down there 10 years ago? Mm-hmm. Probably, but not many. Yeah. There wasn't a lot, right? Hasn't that become more of a thing in the last decade?
It has. I mean, I haven't. See, I don't know. Like the urban condos are facing decrease. I don't know. Like this is a proposed projection. This article was. So I don't know, because we don't have so many that I think we're overran with them. I think our luxury or penthouse condos are still pretty much a select handful. So I
Mhm.
don't think we're going to see a huge decrease in our area, but
I agree.
in areas where you have hundreds of them, you would, I think.
Yeah, that picture of the thing in Florida. I mean, where you have
Yeah,
entire corners of the state, which seems to be caters like to Airbnb and
yeah,
second homes and stuff like that.
yeah,
I know that for anybody that's not familiar with high rises and stuff, the cost it's mind boggling because you're getting an 800 square foot something or other on the 17th floor for $800,000 at least, and the HOA or COAs in that particular case, they could be $700 a month just for the
right. Yes,
just
yeah,
just because.
very easily. Yeah, the association fees. Yes.
Yeah. And I'm like, and I'll tell you something else that'll strike you. At least it caught my attention. And I suppose it's normal. But when I go down and show properties downtown and I'm going up and down these elevators, there are a lot of people living in 800 square feet on the 17th floor with dogs. There's a lot of dog people in condos.
Yeah.
And they're pet friendly, I mean,
Yeah.
they're pretty cool. The next properties are going to be not doing so good is going to be polluting industries. Now, I
I mean,
don't
come
know if
on. This has been since the beginning of time. I mean,
hmm yeah,
yeah.
that's nothing
It's
new.
not breaking news here. Yeah.
Except I would say in the last couple of years, with the way things were going, if somebody could get a deal and it was next to 3 Mile Island, they'd think about it.
I don't know, it's like this, you see these Camp Lejeune commercials all the time. If you've been drinking water from, I just think that this is kind of I'll
Have
make my
you
point about it here in a little bit, but it's kind of a funny written article, uh, you know.
lay it on me?
Well, it's, I don't want to kind of spoil it, but it's it goes. You look at the topics here. It's insurance costs, uh, outdated homes, high maintenance fees, environmental air quality concerns. And then they're talking about again up here declining economies, amenities, pollution. Now, if you the article was written by AI, okay. So if you take all of the buzzwords in our industry and talk about environmental quality, luxury urban condos, oversized properties, economic, and they just went down the list with this, and I was just like, man, this is like funny that it's kind of I see why AI wrote this article because it's been like, what I'm saying is like every one of these words are in the news all the time.
Yeah, I'll show you where he's getting at. This article was produced via automated technology. Pretty interesting. Pretty
So
interesting.
it's just it's not like a person with a bias has wrote it. It's like this literally AI took the data and was like, this is what AI is thinking, right? So it's
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
cool.
And here's the last one on this particular in this article, and I thought this was interesting. And you may know this area, Rodney, maybe not. Oversized properties in declining neighborhoods. It's interesting because that is spot on. Have you ever heard of October Woods? Does
Yes.
that ring a bell? And it's a nice area, but it's in an Antioch zip code.
Yeah.
But over the years, I've sold a bunch of houses down there. And for some reason, there's normal size houses, but then there's like 3,800 and 4,100 square foot houses in that place. And they are selling, I mean, they're, you get a lot of bang for your buck
Yeah.
down in October Woods now. And I looked it up trying to see what's going on. There hasn't been anything sold down there for years, according to our MLS. But anyway, excuse me, oversized properties in declining neighborhoods, they're going to lose value. So I thought that
Yeah,
was
and I
interesting.
and I took it like the amenities of, like, if they're trying to build golf courses around them, or if
Yep.
they're trying to build these mega mansions with like the West Haven concept with all these stores, and then
Mm-hmm.
it kind of buckles, and then so all you got is these oversized properties and no amenities. Um,
Yep. 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 And it also in this particular circumstance it falls into the category of outdated single family homes, because down there they were all built pretty sure in the 80s and stuff. And if you're going to go in there, there's going to be some painting done. You're going to have to
yeah,
you're going to get some things fixed. All right, that was kind of fun. Those are the places. So if you're living in Florida, I imagine, yeah, what triple insurance. I know I changed insurance companies and it didn't do me any good.
I just
This
added
year.
a 16-year-old driver, and I was like, "Ooh, man, it was it was it was a it was not nice."
I got to address this. Um, I'm telling you, I don't, and this isn't the forum for it. I don't know what your house is ultimately you're thinking it's going to sell for. So 100,000 could easily be it if it's, multiple millions. But I'm not afraid at all for my listings to start out a little bit high, a little bit. For us down here, at least in the area I'm talking about, 100,000 would be way over the top. So I just kind of depends on how much you think your house would sell for. It sounds like a lot if it's under $1 million. You know what I mean? That's what that sounds like. That's interesting. Interesting. So let's talk about this. Prices of new homes versus prices of existing houses. Here's an interesting topic. For my entire real estate career, new homes is less bang for your buck. What have you found, Rodney?
And yes, it is actually, after I went through this article, I'm right with you, and I think there was a chart in there that showed a really good kind of the value comparison of what it was. But yes, new construction
Let me see if
is
I've got them all in here.
it's
Where's
reversed right now.
right?
New construction is almost it would be considered cheaper than new a resale home.
Yep. And it's plus there's a high number of properties, new homes on the market. There's, I mean, much more than usual.
Right.
They said it's like over 400,000 active, and that's like in all stages. Or 57,000 new houses were sold, not seasonally adjusted, from a year ago. If you can think from that article, which I've got all those charts, Rodney, you can tell me which one to pull up.
Let's see here. Well, it may have been that one. It was the one with the percentages on it.
Got it. Okay, I got it.
Um,
Price
and
difference.
that
Okay.
Yeah, it was just basically all it was saying is how it was catching up with the line here is that's the what is it between
Resale. Mm-hmm.
resale. So
Yes.
the blue line is resale, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so the new construction is currently really very close to the resale line.
Yeah.
Is that what it's saying?
That's
There's not a lot of price difference right now.
that's correct, and that's why that's how they're using this graph to show there's good logic and good reason for home buyers if they're struggling finding a house. New construction may be a way to go, because think about it. If you could buy the same house, I mean, and this happens, I got to tell you a story about new construction. In the real estate industry, when you're a realtor, and let's say that you're down, I can't even, Cherry Grove back in the day when they were at this place in Spring Hill where they were building seemingly forever. I'm going to get back to that comment, Ange, hang with me. And so one of the things that you struggle with when you're trying to sell a house in a development that hasn't been what's called built out yet, because they go for a period of time and then they do the build out. And when that happens, the builder leaves and all of the houses in that area then become part of the market forces. It's just buy and sell market forces.
Right.
But while the builder's still there, he's got two jobs: build houses and sell houses. The third job is maintain value for people, his clients that have purchased homes in his development, right? So builders have to be really careful about lowering prices just to get the house sold, because that's going to hurt somebody that bought a house in there 6 months ago or 3 months, whatever was in their appraisal range.
Right.
And so as a real estate agent, when you're trying to sell a house, it can be funny because let's say you're trying to sell it for 600 and they're selling them for 630. Well, like Terry DeSelms used to say, if it was between and Rodney would know better than me, $30,000 in a mortgage payment is what, $7 maybe?
Yeah, a little more now. It's probably, $6 per thousand. So,
Okay.
30,000,
10, 30, 60,
$180.
Really? Okay, $180. But you could buy a brand new spanking house, warranted for 1 to 2 years and maybe up to 10 years. What would you do? And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, well, right now, I think one of the greatest things they're doing is they're offering so many incentives. They're like the article talked about. They're doing buy downs, they're paying closing costs, they're upgrades, all those things that allow that basically gives you an advantage for a new home. You know what I'm saying, over an existing home.
I know exactly what you're talking about. So let's kind of push through this. It was a story I was going to tell you, and I will before we're done. So the median price for a new single-family home was sold and ticked up in December, but was down 2.6 from a year ago. I hate the statistics. And 15.3% from the peak in October 22. That's good. For buyers, that's good. At 420, the median price was back where it had first been in October 2021. That's good for buyers, right?
Yeah.
They're not feeling so good for this builders.
So, well, I think the builder's making a good choice right now. They're just cutting their margin down some to making a lot of this work.
Yes. And so here's where it starts to get interesting. And I don't know if there's new builds around you, Angie, when you get listed, you'll probably have to deal with it too if you've got new builds going on. But with mortgage rate buy downs and incentives that are not included in the price declines, their contract prices, and do not include the large unexpected cost of mortgage rate buy downs that home builders now use massively to maintain their sales volume in the market. What that means is this: mortgage rate buy downs, and I'll explain that in a minute, lowers the mortgage payment, but also lowers the profit margin, just like Rodney was saying, but it does not lower the contract price for the house. So the price declines don't always include the other incentives that home buyers throw in to make a deal. And that's why a lot of agents get frustrated, because they'll have buyers that walk into like a new build lot. Mm-hmm. And those buyers get sucked into a new home fast, because those new home agents they give them, would you like granite with that? You want marble with that? You want upgraded stainless steel refrigerators, and we'll give you refrigerator, because sometimes they don't come with that. We'll give you all your appliances. Mm-hmm. They can entice the heck out of buyers. Plus give them the buy down.
Yeah. It's it's a good thing. To me, it's a good thing where, they're doing that. Like you said, it helps protect the values in the neighborhood of what they've already sold. And it's making the new home as affordable as an existing home. So yeah, it's a good time.
Yep. Now there's going to be, there is some other things to be considered though, when you're talking about these things. There's seasonal differences. The median price of existing homes with a distinct seasonal high in June and a low in January. We go through that every year. While prices of new houses, it's off the rack. So the price of labor doesn't change. The price of materials is fairly stable. And So then you're really buying square footage in the dirt. That's what it boils down to with that. But they can be volatile month to month, I guess, is what they're saying. So, in terms of if you're looking for a house, it seems to me from what this article is saying, it's time to consider new houses,
100%. If you're looking for a new house, it better be, because it's the majority of the listings out there too.
Yeah. And just the only caution I would give a caution. Take somebody with you, hopefully an agent that can help you negotiate, because here's the deal. And I've been through this dozens of times. This article is telling us, it's telling the world that builders are incentivizing buyers to buy their homes so they can move product. That's all, that it's a commodity to them. But if you don't ask for a discount, or if you don't ask for an upgrade, or if you don't ask for a buy down, they're not going to just give it to you. So I'm saying there would be a word to the wise. Take somebody that has the courage, I don't know, the wherewithal, I don't want to say balls.
Yeah, have a good
Which
agent.
I just did.
I mean, that's what you need. You need good representation if you're going to shop for a house.
Yeah, and they can ask for those things because they'll give them to you. And you know what? Whatever builder it is, they're not the only game in town. So don't be afraid to let them know that you know that. So is that good?
I like it.
We covered that pretty good. Okay. Yes, the confidence. That's exactly right. Just under $1 million, she's making it sound like there aren't a lot of homes on the market. For her, I'm wary of people that say they have a lot of cash buyers. A lot of agents, a little trick to the trade is there will be agents that will send out, and this is not negative, I'm just telling it's marketing. They'll mail out postcards to a neighborhood, like I get them all the time, and it says, hey, I have buyers with cash. We're looking to buy a home in this price range. Do you want to sell your house? They don't really have a buyer, in my opinion, most of the time. They might, but it's not in your category. And so when you call to say, I might be thinking about it, they'll say, well, yours isn't what they're looking for, but I'll help you sell it. So they're looking for listings. Is that negative? That's just marketing. I'm just telling you, be a little careful with people saying they've got buyers locked and loaded, because they may or may not.
That's good though. If there's not a lot of listings down there, it sounds like that's a winning formula for Ange.
It does. And you're in California, and if you're, at least 3 feet away from the coastline, based on our picture. Yeah, there's a lot of, I understand what you're saying. That's good. So anyway, if you're out looking for properties, don't count new buildings out. So here we're going to move. Can we move on to the next one? You ready to go?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Last week, we touched on the density issue. It really boils down to affordability, but we've got these different cities with a different approach on how to improve their density, or how to increase their density and get affordability. Affordability boils down to more options. You get more inventory, prices tend to go down. Well, here in Nashville, we talked a little bit about the tall skinnies. They've got, and I may try to run this video, Rodney, we may try it as an experiment. But some Nashville neighbors, what they're doing is there's a zoning proposal that would allow duplexes in neighborhoods countywide, and triplexes and quadruplexes in what's called the Urban Services District. I'll show you what that means. That's Nashville, and the light outline that sort of runs off the map a little bit. That's the entire Davidson County area, and the Urban Services District is the gray. That's what that is. and they're talking about allowing triplexes and quadruplexes in that, and that's a lot of turf. And the argument that is being promoted is what we've been talking about: is can the infrastructure hold up with that? Whoop, hang on. I'm gonna try this. We're gonna try this, you guys. Could be an experiment that goes bad, but we're gonna try it anyway.
Happen if a new proposed zoning change passes.
Here we go.
Plexes in many neighborhoods. So the goal of the bill is to create more affordable housing. But News 2's Tori Gessner talked to one South Nashville resident who believes it'll do the opposite.
It's a unique way to describe the problem.
What you do is you put a giraffe in a shoebox. Number one, it's out of place. Number one, it's overbuilt. Number one, it's overrun.
That's what Jeff Sexton, South Nashville neighbor and director of the Fairlane Park Neighborhood Association, worries will happen if a new proposed zoning change passes, allowing duplexes in neighborhoods countywide and triplexes and quadplexes in the urban services district highlighted in gray. The goal is to create more affordable housing, but Sexton has his concerns.
This potential proposal has the possibility to devastate neighborhoods.
He isn't the only one in Nashville speaking out. Residents in Green Hills and Belle Meade have also voiced their opposition on social media. But sponsors of the proposal argue the bill would make it easier to build affordable housing faster, creating more home density to accommodate growth.
Now, she said in there, and I may have read it. Could you hear that, Rodney?
Yes.
Oh, good. It worked then. Now, she said something in there that it almost made me laugh out loud, and I don't know why, but she said something that you're not going to hear in the Nashville area very much, is neighbors in parts of Green Hills, Belle Meade, and South Nashville voiced their concerns about the proposal and how it could damage the character of their neighborhoods. These are not areas that normally you would find in bed together. They're... Yeah.
Yes. She two of the most expensive zip codes in the state, and one of the not, right.
which is that there.
Yeah. But
yeah.
I mean, the thing, it's like everybody says, it would change. We need easier codes to build, but what they're proposing is putting a duplex on a single family, an additional duplex in the whole county. You can actually build a duplex on your property in addition to the one you have.
Right.
So one, I don't have that. Fannie Mae doesn't have a loan for that. Neither does FHA. You can't have two units on multiple properties. Like Fannie Mae will let you, and FHA will let you have an accessory unit,
right?
But you can't have. And then, so what you'd be looking at? Well, could you call it a duplex and then call the single family an accessory unit? But that's probably not going to be the characteristic of the neighborhood or whatever, right? That's probably not going to be the norm. So you probably can't get comparables and things like that. So right now they're talking about something that you can't even finance. And then two, when they talk about affordable housing, when is the last time somebody called one of these tall and skinnies affordable? Every one of these are 700, $1 million, $2 million. Well, what are they talking about? Like affordable housing, all it's going to do is it's just going to. It's not affordable housing. They're just going to be building housing, and then it would totally wreck your neighborhood. Like, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, that would be crazy if they said all of Williamson County or Davidson County you could build a duplex on your property.
Yeah. What struck me as interesting about there's no judgment. What I was saying, there's a point to what I was saying about Green Hills, Belle Meade, and South Nashville. This is an issue that cuts across all stripes of life. That's what I meant. And that's a lot of people to get motivated to say, we really don't want to see that happen. We're not interested in that. And I couldn't imagine quadruplexes. You'd have to knock down a house to put a quad in any place, I would think. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah,
And
I could see them building quadplexes at 400 square feet a side and stuff like that. I mean, just ridiculous stuff.
Can you imagine if? And you said that there's no loans available for that right now. Can you imagine that the government gets enough of a push, there's this magical element, or this magical thing, to make those loans available? I mean, could they get pushed to the point where they'd try to get a workaround for that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if it became sure, absolutely. Could it become possible? But I don't know. I mean, to me, I wouldn't want, like, if I'm an investor and I want to put my money in mortgage-backed securities, I don't know if I want my collateral having duplexes and being that kind of property, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But that's a whole different ball game altogether, I guess.
That's way above my pay grade. And it was like we were talking about VA loans the other day and this commission stuff and how it could get separated and there's non-allowables, and that VA is they're going to have to address that. They're going to have to address that. And that's what I'm talking about.
The good thing about veterans is, veterans can't pay it. So it's like the area that the veterans buy in, mostly like the base cities, they'll take care of that market, where they won't, like, the realtors will work with a veteran to make that deal work, or else they're going to be out of business.
Absolutely, 100%. But we're going to be seeing, and we'll bring that up in a minute. So the last thing I want to mention about this is, when we're talking about bills and cities and councils and all that kind of stuff, we're really talking about people that are just normal people. They don't have degrees and stuff. Like, when you think about HOAs and how they make decisions for your neighborhood, trust me, it's just 5 people that used to watch Lawrence Welk all the time, and they're not PhDs in
they live in your neighborhood. They live in your neighborhood.
And for the most part, I have to think these city councils are going to be of the same stripe. They're motivated people, and I'm sure they're wonderful people, but the bill is sponsored by 9 Metro council members who argue the zoning change would allow the city to more easily build affordable housing, which they describe as the missing middle housing. If I were to bet, do you think any of the 9 live in the areas that they might?
They're going to have to live somewhere in Davidson County if they're council members, I think, right?
Right, yeah.
Who knows what district, all that stuff. But it's okay if they make it easier to build. That doesn't mean it's going to be affordable. Just like Phillips points it right on the money. Affordable, calling this affordable is nonsense. I mean, but I don't know what is affordable. You know what I'm saying? If they're wanting to build something for for people who are low income that work downtown, maybe so, but I don't think that's what they're trying to accomplish.
No, I understand what they're trying to do. I mean, the overall point, but it's just not a good plan. Let's take more people and stuff them into the same area. Doesn't sound like a good plan. I don't know. Doesn't lend itself to affordability or anything. And this guy that we just saw in that video, which I may have anyway, said he thinks it would serve to set the whole city back. And there's a part of me that 10 years down the road, if they started to implement something like that, he would probably be right. A lot of cars.
I'm just saying. Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know. I think there's a happy medium somewhere,
There is. Yep, you bet. And the free market will figure it out if we just leave it alone, At least that's always been my take, Free market is where self-interest guides the greater good for everybody. What a cool thing. Enough of that. It's getting Nashville's full. That was my point.
Hey, we think we're full. Look at some of these other cities that's done this 20 years ago, you know?
So let's talk about the dream of home ownership is still alive with young buyers, and I bet we can close out with this one. So despite the continued volatility, there's some really good stuff in here. Despite the continued volatility of mortgage rates, housing inventory, and affordability, many prospective home buyers believe they will eventually make it to the closing table. That is really good. That's good news.
Yes.
I'm trying to do something. Bear with me here. And according to a recent survey from Realtor.com, a big chunk of those hopefuls said this is pretty cool, they'd be willing to make a purchase even with elevated mortgage rates. Of the buyers surveyed, 40% said buying a home would be more feasible if rates dropped below 6%, while another 32% of buyers said they'd be more willing to purchase a home if rates dropped below 5%. But views on buying a home in a higher interest rate climate varied significantly by generation. When asked if they'd buy a home if the mortgage rates topped 8%, more than a third, 37% of Gen Z respondents and nearly half of millennials said that they would. Remember when we were saying this is a new normal?
Yes.
And there's your evidence that we're on the cusp of this new normal. We don't want 8% rates. We don't want 7% rates. But it's tolerable.
Right. Yeah. And I like it. If you add those two numbers, that you're in the 70% range of people who are optimistic and think that they can buy. If you're inside the fives, if your rate starts with a 5. So.
Right. And optimistic. This gets me so pumped up. I say this every week, and I'll never get tired of it. It's this glimmer of hope that I get fired up about, because optimism fuels the whole thing. If somebody feels like they could do 8, then 7.5, it's whatever. 7.1, we're good. Then they've got that long-term housing mentality, which down the road, chances are pretty good value is going to continue to rise. That's my bet. That you're going to be okay in a couple of years. Optimism is like everything for the market.
Yes, that's exactly right. I mean, it's positive outlook on purchasing, and the ones who haven't purchased think they can, which is a big difference than some of the reports we had earlier, where they were saying Gen Zers and all this stuff were just losing hope and all that stuff. Never owning a home, which is obviously for us it's disappointing to hear, but. We believe in home ownership, but just let me throw this out here. Baby boomers were born 46 to 64, millennials 81 to 96, Gen Z 97 to 2012, and then Gen X is 65 to 80. So to give you some background on some of these Gen Y and Z, if you don't, I don't even know which one I fall into, but. The old one.
No, you are not.
I'm in
old.
the abacus group.
I'm going to back up. I'm going to throw a couple of things up here from Philip, if you don't mind. So these tall skinnies on one lot are a duplex and not attached. No, the tall skinnies are single family homes, at least the ones that I've been to. They're single family homes, detached, and most of the time I'll see I'll see 2. And I've seen up to 4 on a single lot. That's what I've seen for the tall skinnies. Sometimes they'll be attached, and there'll be 2. And that's when you're going to have that one HOA between 2 people to merely answer the question, how are we going to pay for the roof when it gets replaced, is what it boils down to. That's what that's about. And I've seen that all the time.
Yeah, the attached tall and skinnies are on 2 deeds. Like, the attached tall and skinny, that you could have one driveway, but you're going to own, you're only going to own your part and a connected wall, right?
Right.
So that's when they're attached. The difference between a duplex is the duplex is going to be on one deed. You're going to have two entrances on one house, or it's going to be separated. It's going to be two separate living units on one house on one deed. The tall and skinnies are those are deeded separately when they're attached.
That's excellent. Yeah, I didn't even think about that being the point. Just calling it affordable doesn't make it Class C. I don't know what Class C is.
I mean, they say their goal is affordable, but there ain't nothing affordable when somebody is going to be, coming in and building, on the dirt already downtown Nashville that's expensive.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And then we've got duplexes are in beautiful neighborhoods throughout the U.S. They absolutely are. I think the point is, Rodney?
Which one? Is it about the duplexes are not being valued the same?
I don't know. I don't know what that's about yet. I haven't connected the dots.
The duplex, like if you compare the square footage of a duplex to a single family, the price per square footage or however the sell price, it is nowhere close. The single family is going to be a good percentage higher than the value of a duplex. Mm-hmm. Andy, you might could say why, but I don't know why. But whenever we're doing a duplex, somebody's buying a duplex. Mm-hmm. I have to have duplex comps, that have sold, and it's people like, well, this house has, 3,000 square foot. Compare it to a single family at 3,000 square foot. Why isn't it the same? And it just never. It's been an issue in the past.
Yeah, because it seems to me that it's just like you said, duplexes and stuff at one deed, right? Isn't that what you said? It's basically one house split in two. I mean, how do you?
Right. You can have one owner on the duplex, right? One owner owns both the whole quadplex, triplex, duplex, whatever.
Yeah, and that's a real common trick that people want to do is they want to be able to buy a duplex or a triplex and live in one place and let the other two rent out and pay the mortgage, which is a great plan.
That's a phenomenal. Like if somebody could get started like that, they wanted to start their first home being a duplex or triplex. I mean, that is a great way to offset some of your income. I mean, you could probably live in almost for free if you come up with a down payment.
Oh, I imagine it would cash flow nicely if, a couple $100, But I think that the point that what to have two skinnies. Okay. I think that's just an aesthetic thing. If what you're saying, Philip, is why is it better to have two tall skinnies than a duplex? If that's what you seem to be saying.
Because they can sell them for twice as much.
Oh man, I'm telling you.
And they're only doing it for, like those lots that are zoned for duplexes. You know how they were zoned for single and double? Some of them were zoned for double. The ones that are building two skinnies on there is the ones that's zoned like that. And the builders go in there and pay a premium for that lot, tear down that old house, build two $800,000 tall and skinnies. Now they got $1.6 million on a regular lot, Yeah. And they just attached or usually they're attached. Most are attached, but
yeah. I heard back in the day, and this goes back when the tall skinny thing was just starting, 10, 12 years ago. And I remember driving through East Nashville, and I've told this story before. I was like, what the? It was shocking because you're driving around, you go out there and there's houses in the 40s and the 50s and 60s. And I mean, you got some old stuff going on out there. Beautiful, classic stuff. But you're driving along and all of a sudden there's this 3-story thing, bink, popping out of nowhere.
And then there's one tall and skinny and then there'll be two tall and skinnies on the same lot. And then,
And so the point of the argument and what we're talking about, the tall skinnies by their nature, they're really high quality home that just has a smaller footprint to fit on a smaller piece of dirt. That's the giraffe in the shoebox thing is a
Right.
fairly
Exactly.
decent.
That's exactly what they're building. Yes.
That's what they're doing. But I think overall, the bigger picture, if you started to put duplexes and triplexes and fourplexes and tried to stuff them in the same kind of footprint that Nashville is now, can you imagine, without going up, how dense that would be?
Yeah, I think they're trying to allow putting duplexes without tearing the old one down. Is what I'm thinking. I think they're wanting to allow you to build a duplex out back.
That's what they're trying to. My cousin, that's what they're saying he can do for an in-law suite or some ADU. It's
Now, you can
amazing.
I like the accessory dwelling units, the in-law suites, whatever. Those are, but when you start talking about a full-on another whole house or a duplex is what is a different story.
It's a different story when you talk about an entirely different system of management on housing on a citywide scale. Or can you imagine the difference? We'll look at it again. If they were to pull this off in 10 years, that gray area, how different would that be than everything else? That'd be like, it'd be so different.
It'd feel like Gaza to us.
That's what we're, and that's not, I just don't think that's a good answer. I'll be honest with you. I think mostly where that's coming from is, boy, this could be unpopular. I'm going to say it anyway. Excuse me. Virtue signaling. I think it's something that they want to be concerned about the issue because it is worthwhile, and proposing a solution looks good, but they can't do it.
It just needs to be some parameters put on, and maybe there may be some parts of the town that might be acceptable in. But I'm just saying, if you're going to go out and spend, say, $500,000 or $750,000 for a lot to put your family on, you don't want the next door neighbors to build 2 quadplexes, rent them right next to you. But
yeah. So we're going to jump back in there. I think that we touched on what Philip was. I didn't want to leave that hanging. So it's just a couple more points, and we're out of here. And this is, again, the topic is the dream of home ownership still alive. Some of these percentages, though I'm not really a stats guy, I found interesting. A similar pattern emerged when respondents asked if now is a good time to buy a home. Perhaps surprisingly, 40% of Gen Zers said yes, 55% of millennials said now is a good time to buy, while only 32% of those Gen X cohorts and 17% of boomers agreed with that sentiment. The vast majority, click there, more than 80% of both boomers and older silent generation said it is not a good time to buy a house. And these are people that went through interest rates of 18%. What do you think about that? I'm just saying they've been through it.
Yes, I'll say the same thing is like you get a good local real estate agent and you figure out your local market, like Angie's done down there. She's talked to somebody that's telling her the market conditions, number of sellers and stuff like that. So I disagree. In fact, that it is a good time to buy in certain people. Like if you're moving up or you want to go buy whatever, let's say if you're trading or downsizing, you might can wait.
Yeah.
Especially if you're not going to end up with a mortgage or something. But we've ran the comparisons all the time. It's better to buy right now.
And I think that's what, when you think about the title of the article, it's making its point. The dream of home ownership still alive with young buyers. It's saying the older folks are saying,
yes,
not for me. Like it says, still hope springs eternal among young buyers. And it says millennials were the most optimistic. 43% of those surveyed believed they'd be able to afford a home within the next year. And since millennials are the largest generational cohort group and have increased their home ownership, that'd be good news for the 2024 market. Yeah. Just a couple of last thoughts. Only 22% of Gen Zers thought they could afford. What's Gen Zer? You have it list there?
No, Gen Z's, I don't know. It's,
okay.
millennial. No, it's the. I don't even know which one.
I don't even
Boomers are
remember.
older. Yeah.
Yep. Only 22% of Gen Zers thought they could afford a home in that time frame, but 45% said they'd be able to afford it within the next 5 years. And here's really the point to the article. The optimistic lens, clearly the young folks have the optimistic lens, plus a decline in mortgage rates from the fall peak appears to be contributing to an uptick in new listings and closing, said Daniel Hale, chief economist of Realtor.com. We've always painted the picture honestly like that. Realtor.com is going to be pretty positive, which is fine. I like that, and the signs are good. I mean, things are looking good. But right there is our answer for 2024, that the new normal is here and people seem to be okay with it.
Yeah. Even, a lot of them even said up to 8%, which is drastically high,
It is drastically high, but somebody's got a realistic mind frame about it. That's really good. I think.
Yeah.
That's a good note to leave things on. Say again?
I said I love the optimism. I mean, because we haven't been hearing that from the younger buyers.
They haven't, and you know what? And this is them saying that in the midst of a headline firestorm of things ain't so good, and they're still being positive. So,
yeah,
God bless America. I'm glad that they've got that, and I think that that attitude will be proven true because of what we've been saying, what you and I preach all the time. You give me optimism, I'll show you a growing market, and they fuel the future. Good for them. That was fun. Did we leave any questions unanswered? Let me see here. No. Ange, do you have my email? I bet you know how to find it. We can chat sometime. Rodney, you got any final thoughts there, buddy?
No, thanks for everybody chiming in. I thought it was a good, had a lot of good questions and comments today.
That was fun. Ange, it's so good to see you. Philip, you are such a smart guy. You're good. Please say hi to Wendy for us and your daughter, please, if you do that. Gosh, is there anything else that I've forgotten? I don't think so. See you next Tuesday, Rodney.
All right, see you next Tuesday.
See you. Bye.